to welcome everybody into the latest edition of Talon Talk. Things are a little bit different this episode. Rather than the women's soccer team that we had scheduled for this episode, we were going to have head coach Pritchard and Dyra on with us along with senior Taylor Strength. However, as is the case in the coronavirus era, a wrecking ball was thrown into what we expected to happen, as around the country we're still trying to make decisions about when we're playing. We expect to play, but we don't yet know when. So to update you on the latest for that, stay tuned to the end of this episode. We'll give you the latest on the expectation for fall sports. But instead of having our women's soccer program on today while they reconfigure what their schedule is going to look like, we're actually going to introduce you to our sports information assistant, Carter Moles, and he and I are going to show you the newest FaulknerEagles.com. It unleashes, unveils, reveals, pick your word that you like that's exciting. 1:30 today, the brand new website. We're going to walk you through that, show you some stuff that is available here that's never been available before, and talk about what we've got coming. So Carter Moles on the other side on this edition of Talon Talk.
Coming to Montgomery, October 1st for one night only.
Spying on any American is a big deal. I can't think of a worse way to investigate something than to have Congress do it.
Faulkner University presents Representative Trey Gowdy at its annual benefit dinner.
In politics, it's just about winning. And I mean, the Constitution gives the House no role in deciding how this trial takes place.
Order your tickets today at faulkner.edu or by calling 386-7257.
All right, guys, welcome back to Talon Talk. Now making his Talon Talk debut, our sports information assistant, Carter Moles. Welcome in, buddy.
It's good to be on.
All right, listen, so we know for sure, no matter what, that your grandmother's going to watch this episode, so that's one of you.
Absolutely, yes.
And it's highly unlikely that your wife watches this episode.
Absolutely correct.
All right, so we've got it covered. Don't worry, this is episode 6. My wife cares not about any of this, so. You know, she's like, I have to hear about it enough anyway. I don't know why I gave her that deep voice, but in my head, that's how it sounds. So, listen, we, again, a lot of changes in the fall athletic landscape. As I talked about in the intro, the SSAC has moved the championships for volleyball, men's soccer, and women's soccer back into the spring, and has left flexibility for schools to figure out when they're going to play their non-conference. But as of yet, they don't actually officially have the conference schedules. So we didn't want to have our soccer teams on to talk about schedules that don't yet exist. So we're deviating a little bit, and we're talking about something that you and I get to nerd out about, that has been a labor of love for us for the last several months, the shift to sidearm sports, the partnership that we have now, a division of Learfield Sports, for those who are unfamiliar with this, which is probably most people. Sidearm Sports is the best in the industry in terms of collegiate athletic website design. And the new website unveils today at 1:30, and we're pretty excited about it. So, buddy, before we start showing the people the website, what are your favorite features of it?
I really like the stats feature of it. I like that.
Spoken like a true sports information nerd.
Of course.
Yeah.
I like that
right.
we're going to be able to keep all of the stats in one place, because it'll be a lot easier for our fans and even for our athletes to click on the box score of the game, see it really easily, and then they can also look at their season score, see a whole bunch of different splits, all that kind of stuff. It'll be a really good addition to our website that we haven't been able to have before. And then on the back end, I like how easy it is for us to adjust things as we need to, when we need to promote certain things, when we need just any addition we need to make to it. It's a lot easier to make. It'll make our jobs a lot easier, which will help us tell all the great things that are going on here, because it can be a lot. There's a lot going on, and if everything ends up getting moved to the spring, it will be a lot. So being able to have all these features where we can edit all these things in one easy place, updating photos, all that kind of stuff, quick, easy now. it'll really help just what all we can accomplish.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways that we try to do things here. From being part of this department, my philosophy is that we want to put sports information in as many different avenues and channels as possible. We want to present information in the written form. We want to present it in video form and social media form and all of these different things. This website now serves as the perfect home for each of those things. It is the perfect hub for all that is going on. And so I'm going to go ahead now and we'll share screen and we're going to show people the new website. There we go. We announced the partnership with Sidearm Sports. That is the first story up right now. Again, this website's scheduled to go live at 1:30 today. And Carter, we're just going to kind of show off some of the features here. And as you go down the homepage, one of the first things that really jumps at me that I like a lot about this is our Faulkner Sports Network YouTube channel. So all of the games, all of the Talon Talks, all of the hype videos, everything that we do, you can access right here on the website. And this is really cool. You don't have to leave the website to watch these things. So I can sit right here and it's going to bring this window up and there it is. So all of that is right here housed on our website. So that's kind of the first thing that jumps at me that I think is really, really cool. Now the next thing, and you and I spent a lot of time talking about this, but when you go to sports, like this is a constant issue that we had with the old website. We love our JV programs, women's basketball, men's and women's soccer reserve, JV baseball, but historically they were buried at the very bottom of kind of the parent sport, and it was hard to find those rosters. How much easier is this now for people to find schedules and rosters and information on those, what we're labeling non-championship sports, because they're not actually competing for a title?
Yeah, it's so much easier because you would have to click on the old site. If you're wanting to find the JV women's basketball team, you've got to click on women's basketball, and then you've got to go to the more links, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then you'd be there. Now you can just hit sports and shift right over to it and jump straight to their schedule or their roster. And it's going to be so much easier, especially with the added emphasis on covering JV sports a little bit more as well, with our FSN staff being able to broadcast some of those games and really get experience in an easier environment to learn than jumping straight into a varsity game of the week, where it's going to be a little bit rowdier if you're in the gym. It's going to be a little bit more high pressure because it is for a championship than a non-championship sport. So being able to help out these athletes a lot with broadcasting them and helping our FSN students as well learn what they're going to be able to do and show off all of that in one easy to find location is going to be great.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on there. And when you take a look here on the front end, you'll see a link for bass fishing. So we'll explain how this works. Bass fishing is a club sport, does not fall under us in the athletic department, but there's really no other place to find information on them. So with the new website, because it's easier to sort of break these things out, it's our goal this year to at the very least have you a schedule and a roster and some updates on the bass fishing team. And so we've got that here on the website. Now, when you get into the individual pages for these programs, we'll use men's basketball here. So as you go into this, you'll see specific stories for that program when you click on their homepage. So you go down and you'll find a specific playlist that our own Carter Moles has gotten generated from YouTube. So it's the men's basketball games that are now popping up on the men's basketball homepage. Presently, this is the Faulkner Athletics Instagram account here that is attached to their homepage. there's the men's basketball Twitter account, and men's basketball Facebook will be linked as well. And so you've got all of this information for men's basketball on one page. And now you've got, as you typically have, coaches, news, recruiting, and then your standard schedule, roster, news, everything you could want for men's basketball right there on one page. So the sports-specific pages, really cool, really diverse, a lot of information is available there. We'll move over into the Inside Athletics link. Carter Moles has spent a lot of time working on this for us. Your information on camps and clinics. We frequently get calls into the office, who's hosting a camp or who's hosting a clinic. Well, Carter Moles has compiled all of that information into one area for us, and you've got hyperlinks to take you there. We've got the facilities pages. You can click on each one of those and get details. Often we get inquiries about renting facilities, and we've even got that here, that you can do a facility rental request that will send it to our own Nancy Itzem, who handles all of that for us. So a lot of information there, athletic training, the breakdown for everything that you need there. So a lot of information. All right, Carter, I'm going to send this to you now. The FSN page, which the drop-down menu for FSM will look different in the future than it looks right now. There's more things we're going to add to it, like a roster page for our jabrones, because we just feel like, why shouldn't people know what they look like? So that's one of the things that we're talking about adding. But this FSN page kind of becomes a hub of all things FSN. YouTube channel, Talon Talk, social media channels, join FSM. This is something a little more than just the flat page that we had on the old website that was like, here's a logo and a brief explanation of what we are.
Yeah, FSN's really grown over the past few years. And in order to reflect that, it really was necessary to add a tab for Faulkner Sports Network on the main navigation center there, because we have so many different aspects that are covered in game day in Faulkner Sports Network, now including a game day operations team as well. But even just what Faulkner Sports Network covers and what they're doing, what they will be doing, having a link straight to the YouTube channel where we broadcast every single one of our games, having a place where prospective students can sign up or can put their interest in to join FSN, to join what we're doing here, to get to cover sports during college. It's something I did. It was absolutely fantastic. I loved every bit of it. And it's something that a lot of kids are wanting to do. And it's a great aspect that we've added on, where you can easily click and find our links to these episodes of Talon Talk, where we may end up putting some highlights, and eventually that roster will be really cool because they put in a lot of work. There are a lot of hard hours, a lot of tough work, a lot of adjusting on the fly, troubleshooting with a lot of pressure as well, that they have to go through. And just that little bit of recognition, it can go a really long way. And I think that'll be a cool aspect where you can see who's behind broadcasting all these games, who's producing all these games. And they're not just a name that Jeremy lists at the end of a broadcast thanking them. They're a face and someone you can recognize a lot easier.
Absolutely. And so that's something we're going to flesh out here as time goes on. As Carter mentioned, if you're a prospective student that you are interested in FSN, we have a Join FSN link here as well. You can tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, your school, all of that information, the sports that you know well, your areas of interest. And this is a breakdown of all of the different services that we have involved here with FSM. And then not just interest, but areas of experience, because you may say, I really am interested in broadcasting, but you don't have that experience. And so that tells us a little bit about what we're working with on the front end, and we can contact you from there. So that's some great information. All right, now, ready to wrap up here. I'm going to go to what has kind of become one of my favorite sections, and it's a feature in Sidearm that's available. the current Hall of Fame page on the existing FaulknerEagles.com website is a list of group pictures and captions, and that's all that we're able to have on there. And so it's what year they went in and what their name is, and that's about it. And again, this will take a little more shape as we go. We'll make some of these pictures a little prettier, even if it's impossible to make Joel Best any prettier than he already is. We'll make a run at it. But here, when you go under Hall of Fame, you can sort this out by class or induction year, however you would like to do it, or rather by inductees. When you click on just Hall of Fame, it gives you a drop-down menu. You say, I want to know who from which sport is in. Well, there's all of your former athletic directors that are currently in, baseball players, coaches, contributors. There's men's basketball players that are in, softball players, volleyball players. It's a really great breakdown by sport. You want to figure out by induction year, there you go. You want to figure out by name, there you go. And when you click on each one of these, we'll use our buddy Brent Barker here. You go in and you have a brief bio on him, the year that he went in, and for what he was inducted, in his case as an athletic director and a coach. And you can just go through and look at each one of our Hall of Famers down here. And I think that's really, really cool that we've got that available. So newFaulknerEagles.com, a lot of really cool stuff here. Carter, is there anything else we skipped over that you wanted to explain to the people?
The tickets link right now.
Yes.
Since we don't know anything that's happening, it's just going to take you to a flat page basically explaining we don't know a schedule, so we don't know we don't want to sell tickets if we don't know when the tickets are going to be good for. So once we get that information, we'll get that up. There were several jokes in the office about what we'd end up putting on the tickets page, whether it was just like a random GIF, in anything kind of humorous like that, but we decided to just keep it simple.
We're keeping it professional on the website. We don't keep it professional in other times, but the website's professional. It's fine. Yeah. So,
and as we get schedules, as we continue to build histories and all that kind of stuff, I spent a lot of the off time working on stat databases where we're finding the top scorers in basketball, who had the most goals per game in soccer, and spoiler alert, 90% of those are Nikki Yacht. I've got a whole bunch of stats built, and we're going to get those up on the website. There's a lot of work that will still be going, so keep up checking on the website. Right now, when you click on a schedule or roster, it'll go to last year's because we don't know what's going on right now.
Right.
We're really flying by the seat of our pants a lot with what's happening on the different schedules, and sometimes roster changes as well, as it's really weird times we're living in. So keep checking, keep looking. We will keep updating this a lot, and this current form that we're releasing it at, it's sad to me a little bit that we're not able to put the current schedules out because we don't have them, or the current rosters because we're still waiting on everyone to get in, and we're going to get their headshots and make sure everything looks really good before we get those out there. But this is a really, really good website. I'm really excited about it. Exciting to be a part of building something almost from an idea and taking what we did have before. Okay, we like this aspect, we don't like this. Looking at some of our colleagues like Dalton State, Eric did a great job building their website. And seeing, okay, we like this aspect, we like what Troy did here, we like what Alabama did here, we like what Oklahoma did here, and meshing it all together into one. It's been a really fun process. I'm excited that it's going to be launching today.
Absolutely. So supposed to launch right around 1:30. And again, this is not even the final form of it. You'll see several things. One of those things, as Carter noted, are stats. The old stat files that are on the existing website did not port over to the new. And so over time, we will attach those old stat files to old games. And so you'll be able to find all of that information again as we work to rebuild the history. Spoiler alert to any of our FSN kids watching. Guess what your job gets to be when you come back if we don't have games? We're going to teach you how to use the website. Listen, thanks so much, Carter, for taking the time. We're back on the other side on this edition of Talon Talk, where I'll give you a quick breakdown on where all of the fall sports stand.
Bless the corners of this house and be the lintel blessed. Bless the hearth and every board and each place of rest, and every door that opens wide to stranger as to kin, and every crystal window pane that lets the starlight in. At home, I'm going home for solace and safety, home where the world will not break me, home. Never forsake me, take me home.
Did you know that 100% of Faulkner's computer science graduates
since 2014 have found jobs
in their fields within 6 months of graduating?
It's a great time to be a computer scientist. Everyone is walking around with a computer in their pocket in the form of a smartphone, and it takes software developers to make those things work.
I built church websites, and through the training and instruction that I received from Faulkner, I was able to go right into my career after graduation.
It laid a solid foundation for what you need to know.
I'm getting a lot of hands-on experience within my field, and also they're just giving me a wide variety of options of things that I might want to pursue in the future.
In the state of Alabama alone, there are over 4,000 tech-related jobs available. And the preparation that you receive at Faulkner University will allow you to go to work almost anywhere as a software developer. It's a great time to be a Faulkner Eagle, and it's a great time to be a computer scientist. I hope you'll come and join us.
All right, guys, welcome back to this edition of Talon Talk. Normally, this is the segment where we would have a student athlete guest on with us, but we'll delay that until next week, again, while we figure out what's going on with fall sports. So we're going to use this segment to kind of give you an idea of where things stand in the world of our fall sports. Last week, the NAI voted to move all of its fall championships, that is cross country, which we don't have here, men's and women's soccer and volleyball and football, to the fall. What the NAI was doing in that move is allowing each conference to make a decision as to whether it will attempt to play in the fall or it will attempt to play in the spring, and or even some combination of those two. And in every case, the conference will consider where each school is. And so your breakdown as it exists right now for us is the SSAC followed suit, that is our men's and women's soccer and volleyball programs, and moved its fall conference schedule to the spring. So the championship will be in the spring, and the conference games themselves will be in the spring. That leaves in each institution the flexibility to hold non-conference games in the fall, or hold non-conference games in the spring, or some combination of both. That new conference schedule is still being put together for each sport, and so our coaches have not finalized their schedule. So we don't yet know exactly when we're going to play, which is why we delayed having our women's soccer team on this week till they get a better idea of exactly what's next for them. Volleyball, same thing. They're making decisions. They're waiting to see what their new schedule is going to look like. in the conference, and then they'll build a non-conference after that. Football is part of the Mid-South Conference. That's a little bit different of a conversation. The Mid-South Conference consists of 3 divisions: the Bluegrass, the Appalachian, and the Sun. The Mid-South Conference has moved its championship to the spring and allowed each of those divisions to meet to make their own decisions about when they'll play their regular season games. And so the conversations currently are very similar to what we just described. There are conversations about moving it to the spring. There are conversations about keeping it in the fall but starting it later than originally planned. And we're still waiting on final word on those things before we can tell you exactly when we're going to play. We do know that we are going to play, or at least plan to play. But as of the moment, we can't tell you exactly when that's going to be, because there are a lot of decisions that are still being made, but we'll keep you informed on all of that. We've had a lot of emails. We've had a lot of questions about those things. And so that's where everything stands as far as our fall sports go. Men's and women's basketball are working on revising their schedules to sort of accommodate the landscape that has moved around them. And we will hope to have those schedules to you very soon. And maybe next week we'll have our women's soccer program on. That is the hope, that by that time they'll have a little bit better of an idea. So we're back with you next week on Talon Talk with somebody to talk about something. But we thank you so much for taking the time to join us for this episode. This is Talon Talk. God bless you.